Good afternoon to everyone at today's public hearing of the Vetting Commission established under Law Number 65 of the year 2023 on the external evaluation of judges and candidates for judges of the Supreme Court of Justice. I'm Scott Bales, the chair of the commission, and I declare this session open. The hearing is being conducted under Law Number 252 of the year 2023 on the external evaluation of judges and prosecutors and amending some normative acts, and under the Commission's rules of organization and functioning as part of the evaluation process. The subject of today's hearing is Petru Triboi, Judge and Interim President of the Ungheni District Court. In September of 2020, Judge Triboi was assigned as Vice President of that District Court, and in May of 2023 was appointed to exercise the interim duties of President. Judge Triboi, welcome.
Good afternoon, honorable panel. Good to be here.
I'm joined by two other panel members. To my right, or to your left, is panel member Lilian Enciu, and to my left is Commission member Iurie Gațcan. The panel is also assisted by members of its secretariat, and you may have also noticed in the room there might be representatives of the media or the public. The photographer will be taking photos just briefly at the beginning of the hearing. The hearing will be conducted with interpretation between Romanian and English. To allow for accurate interpretation, I ask everyone to speak clearly and slowly. The proceedings are being recorded. The recordings of the Commission's public hearings generally will be available online at the Commission's website, www.vettingmd.eu, within 3 days after the hearing. I will begin by briefly reviewing the evaluation procedure for Judge Triboi. The Commission initiated its evaluation on the 2nd of May, 2025 by notifying the judge by email and asking him to complete and return an ethics questionnaire and the financial declarations required by Law Number 252. Judge Triboi returned the completed declarations and questionnaire on the 21st of May, 2025. On the 30th of May, 2025, in accordance with Article 37, Paragraph 3 of the Commission's rules, Judge Triboi was informed that his case had been randomly allocated to Evaluation Panel B. He was later informed in August of the renaming of this panel to Panel D with the same members. He was advised of his right to submit a reasoned request for recusal. As of this date, no such request has been submitted. As part of evaluating a subject's ethical and financial integrity, the Commission obtains information from many sources, such as the National Integrity Authority, the State Fiscal Service, the General Inspectorate of the Border Police, other public institutions, financial institutions, and open sources. The Commission assesses the information it obtains for its relevance and reliability. Between the 5th of August, 2025, and the 16th of October of this year, the Commission asked Judge Triboi to provide additional information to clarify certain matters. It did so in 3 rounds of questions. The judge provided answers and documents within the given deadlines. On the 23rd of October, 2025, we notified Judge Triboi that the Commission had identified and wished to discuss some areas of doubt about his compliance with the ethical and financial criteria, and we invited him to attend today's hearing. On the 26th of October, 2025, Judge Triboi confirmed his participation, and the next day he asked the Commission to provide him access to the evaluation materials. The Secretariat did so on October 29th, 2025. Judge Triboi, do you wish to make any corrections or additions to the answers you've provided to this point to the Commission for its request for information? Is there anything you would like to add or change to what you've previously said?
Thank you for this opportunity. Honorable panel, I would like to add something for the Commission, for the panel. There's some information that I would like to further provide, something that the Commission will mention with regard to the CEP for the year subject to the evaluation. I mean, the mortgage contract, which is number 1524/1 of 2007. I've taken a loan out of Victoria Bank. 100,000 lei was the amount of that. And even to the previous questions of the Commission, seeking proof and evidence, I've taken the matter up with the bank, and I was told that they did not keep those contracts because they keep them for 7 years at most. And then I found it with the cadastre authorities. I would also like to further supply some information with regards to the veracity, or rather of those who provided me with who I borrowed from. That is, there is some information from my parents-in-law. I would like to ask the Commission to have a look at page 3 of this information that I've just shared with you, and I would also like to add something in this regard, given that the Commission has asked in the rounds of questions, has asked about the possibility of the lenders to lend me those amounts, and I talked to the parents-in-law. They stated that they didn't have bank accounts. They've returned to Moldova, and they told me that they have some sort of some savings records, like a saving facility, and my mother-in-law traveled to Italy on the 15th of October, if I'm not mistaken. She returned on the 19th of October, and she shared that information with me, and I did not have the possibility until the 19th of October. I had no possibility to, I did not have this piece of information until the 19th of October. And on this note, I would like to show you something else from a different lender, some payslips proving their salaries, and there's been a question asked by the Commission with regards to the email of the lender, and I have put it down, though I don't know what is the reason why. Having looked into the evaluation file, though, I've noticed that the communication with that lender via email, well, it appears that the email address was not complete there. I have shared with the Commission the email address that the lender told me that was their address, but when I've looked into the materials of the Commission, it appears that not the entire name of the email address was written. So there was just first and last name, but only last name was used for the email address, it appears. And I have, there were those questions of the Commission for the lender, and I have forwarded them to the lender. But the lender, he was in Italy, he sent me some salary certificates of his wives and some additional explanation.
Judge Triboi, you've referred to some documents that I understand you've not previously provided the Commission. Did you bring copies today to provide us?
Yes, I did. I have copies for the Commission.
Okay. We will take those and have the Secretariat include them in the evaluation file, and we will assess them as part of our ultimate report. Before we go further, let me ask if the information that you provided in the 5-year declaration and the ethics questionnaire that you returned to the Commission on the 21st of May, 2025, is that information still accurate as of today?
Yes, they are still accurate as of today. Well, that information that I have earlier provided.
Okay.
Yes.
Members of the panel will now ask you additional questions. We'll try to keep our questions short and to the point. We ask that your answers be short and to the point as well. Panel member Lilian Enciu will start with the questions.
I suggest that we start with 2018, which is when we've identified certain uncertainties, and that is the purchase of the Mercedes car, make year 2006, that you've purchased from your marriage godfather. The price you've reported to the National Integrity Authority was 70,000 lei. However, according to the average market prices and the import customs transactions, they would usually cost at least 112,000, and they would be sold for 300,000 as a maximum amount. Now, in this context, how was it possible for you to purchase this car for such small a price, and why would the seller agree with granting you such discount? Thank you, honorable panel. Now, to answer this question, I would rather explain, same as I did in the rounds of questions regarding this matter. Indeed, that car was purchased from my godfather. And he's not only my godfather, marriage godfather, but he's also my cousin. Now, at that time, as a symbol of support for me, of help for me, he wanted to give me that car for that price, to sell it to me for that price. Being a business person, he owned a number of cars. Nevertheless, back then in 2018, the courts were merged, and I was working in the Nisporeni Court, but that one was merged with the Ungheni Court, and I did not have in general a means of transportation to commute, to travel. And as a symbol of support to me, he sold that car to me for that amount. That is the actual price that I paid in that transaction. At the time of the procurement, was the car registered as belonging to the company? I don't want to mention the name of the company. Or was it registered under your godfather's name? Well, to be more precise, yes, it was the company car. It was a company car registered as belonging to the company, because I remember that the number plates were something like personalized, and they were taken away when the car was re-registered with a different owner. In 2018, your daughter has purchased an apartment in Nisporeni for a contractual price of 47,388 Moldovan lei. And according to the answers, to your answers to the Commission, the cost was covered with help from your parents-in-law. Now, at the beginning of this hearing, you told us that you prepared a new set of documents that support the financial capacity of your lenders. But now let's speak about this apartment. Could you provide us with some details? How did you negotiate it with your parents-in-law, with them bearing these expenses? And do you have any additional information that would confirm their income, and which would mean that they would be in a position as to incur such expenses? Thank you, now, honorable panel. That apartment was indeed purchased by my parents-in-law in 2006. It was meant for their daughter, Madam Ursaki. At that time, she was not married. But then we were living in the house of the parents-in-law at that time. Later, they decided to give that apartment to us to use. That apartment was, how should I put it? Well, it required some refurbishments. It was not, at that time, it wasn't, well, not quite comfortable to live in. I mean, you could, but... And today, I have provided you with some information. In 2007, I've taken a mortgage loan out of the bank in order, and that was meant to cover renovation works for that apartment. At that time, both of my parents-in-law were working in Italy. And later, after the renovations, and we've been living there and we still live there, following that renovation, the renovation works performed in 2007, 2008, around that time. So then they decided, they thought it was all right for them to transfer it to our daughter. Their daughter had got married, but with my daughter, the first grandchild of my parents-in-law, I mean, they have a special relationship. There's a special relationship between my daughter and her grandparents, or my parents-in-law.
So in 2018, when your daughter received this apartment from her grandparents, did she actually pay the contractual price, or did the grandparents just give her the apartment?
So my daughter, you mean, did my daughter pay?
Nu, fiica mea nu a
No, she did not pay. She did not pay anything at all. My parents-in-law, well, that price, as far as I know, the way they've stated, that amount, the contractual one, they've given it to the daughter Ekaterina. My daughter paid nothing at all, not one leu.
Okay, thank you.
I would like us to continue into 2020. In your declaration filed with NIA, you've reported there that your wife received from your father-in-law a loan of 15,000 euros. And when we raised this with you, we didn't have proof of the capacity of the father-in-law, of your father-in-law, to make this payment, to lend this money. Now you say you have some new information for us. Now, in the context of that matter, could you explain us how was it possible? Where did your father-in-law take the money to give this loan to your wife? And can you please explain how did your wife bring, how did your father-in-law bring this money into the country? And what supporting documentation is there to confirm the availability of this money? Thank you. As mentioned in the beginning of this hearing, I have an excerpt from this savings instrument of my mother-in-law. And you can see that in early 2018, she's withdrawn, she has cashed out a particular amount of money. And this loan was given by my parents-in-law, well, not to my wife, but to our family, if you look at it like that overall, because we were to take out a Prima Casa, first home loan, under that program. And I think that in September 2020, we managed to take that loan out, and we were going to pay the first installment. That is, our family, as a beneficiary, was supposed to pay the first installment. Now, the money out of what my parents-in-law stated, that is, of the grandparents, the money was brought in cash every time they would travel home. They would bring money along. They would travel, if they had some health issues. You know how, you know that our citizens who work abroad, they can have health issues and they would have some savings at home as well. So I would like to add that my father-in-law, for as long as he's been in Italy, for about 20 years, he's been working informally. And that's what I can tell you out of what they told me, that the money has been brought into the country in cash. But you've mentioned this savings instrument. Is this like a document that is issued by the Italian authorities? Or is this some sort of just a record, draft record or something? What is a savings instrument in your understanding? Well, I have it here. It is a document issued by the Italian authorities. And out of what my mother-in-law stated, she told me that at the post office, they have this saving facility, like a savings instrument. We used to have the two in Moldova a long while ago called something similar, and that is issued by the Italian authorities. Now, this excerpt that you have, does it support the entire 15,000 euros amount, or is it just covering it in part? If you pay attention to page 3, it's actually even more than 15,000. And the amount was brought into the country, into Moldova, in one single go or in several? Well, they stated, as they told me, they would bring some amount with them every time they came. So, if you look at that excerpt, early January 2018, they also they came, and then 2019, and then they would travel together, both of them. I can't tell how often, how many times they've specifically come back home to Moldova, but certainly a time or two. Judge Triboi, can you tell us what was the amount cashed out? Now, looking at these documents you've supplied today, before this loan was granted to you. So is this 15,000 covered? Yes, it is. Now, both of your parents-in-law, you've mentioned, both of them are working in Italy. Now, this income, did they receive this money on bank accounts, on credit cards, or were these payments made just through transfers, through local post, or out of what they told me, the father-in-law did not receive any salary payments on credit cards or bank accounts. My mother-in-law had what I've already provided the commission with, whatever I had available out of what they provided to me. But that amount, the amount on this savings certificate or savings instrument, whatever it is, whatever it's called, it's something that they have deposited there. It's not like a transfer to them, but every month they would go there to deposit that amount as savings with the post office. But as my mother-in-law told me, well, she was given information for the last 10 years only, but she claimed that That savings instrument was initially created back in 2010 or 2012 or some point around that time. But she's only supplied me with information for the last 10 years. And in this information, we can see that money has been cashed out before giving the money to you. Yes, but that's right, in January 2018. So if required, I could even tell you what the exact precise date was. The 17th of January 2018. That's when a large amount was cashed out. That is correct, even larger than the loan granted to me. And afterwards, after that date, did they come to Moldova? Well, they continued to stay there in Italy after that date for a while. If I'm not mistaken, they've been there for another 1 year and a half. At some point in 2019, in fall 2019, they were returned to Moldova for good. What about any statements, copies of the passport of your parents-in-law? Can you provide anything like that to have proof of the border crossings? Well, not right now, but I've looked into the evaluation file, and I think there are the border crossings only for the last 5 years. We have that only for the last 5 years. Well, now I don't have this information, but later, I think so. But my father-in-law, if I'm not mistaken, he would use a Romanian ID. A Romanian ID, not a passport, but a Romanian ID card. And my mother-in-law, she had that Italian permit of stay.
Judge Triboi, you mentioned, and I think you referred as you were talking a moment ago, to a bank statement for your father-in-law. Is that among the documents that you're leaving with the commission today?
Da, exact.
So
Yes.
the statement that shows the withdrawal that you say is greater than 15,000 euros, that's one of the documents you're leaving with us?
Da, exact.
Thank you.
Yes.
Spuneți-mi, vă rog, dar socrii dumneavoastră
Now, your parents-in-law,
au sau nu au
do
proprietăți
they
imobiliare și în
have
alte state?
real estate? Do they own real estate in countries other than the Republic of Moldova?
Din câte cunosc și chiar și la întrebarea
As far as I
mea,
know,
în
and
întrebările adresate de către
there was a
comisie,
question
nu.
asked by the
În
Commission in
afară
this
de
regard, and as far as I know, they
alte
don't own
imobile,
property
imobile,
elsewhere,
în alte
but
state
in
nu.
Moldova. It's only in Moldova that they own property, as far as I know.
Acum haideți să parcurgem
Now,
la anul
let's have a look at
2021,
2021,
an în care familia
which
noastră a
is the
beneficiat
year
de
in
un
which your
împrumut
family
de
has been
25.000
given
de euro.
a loan of 25,000
Deci
euros.
creditor al
The lender
dumneavoastră a fost
was
domnul Trifan.
Mr. Trifan.
Deci întrebarea este
No,
dacă
my question
dumnealui a
is,
avut capacitatea
did
financiară
he
ca să vă
have the
acorde un
financial
asemenea
capacity
împrumut
to grant you
și care a fost
a
motivul
loan
acestei
this
tranzacții.
size? And what was the reason for the loan?
Pot comunica că cu domnul Trifan,
I can inform you that with Mr. Trifan, since you've mentioned his last name, I will do that as well. We've been friends for about 20 years now. We are very good friends.
Am fost împreună și
We
la odihnă chiar am
Together
studiat
have been
materialele
on holidays, and I looked into
acumulate
the
de către comisie.
evaluation
Se observă că în
file, and you can
2022
see
am
that
fost
in
împreună.
2022
El
we
activează
traveled
împreună cu
together.
soția
He
sa
works
din
with
anul
his
2002
wife since 2002.
Italia.
They've been
Au
working
și,
in Italy.
contracte de muncă.
They have
Am
employment contracts, both of them.
observat că
And I have
în
noticed
contractul de
that
muncă,
in
chiar
the
și cum a
employment
observat
contract,
și,
same as
comisia, că e,
the Commission
îndeosebi la,
noticed
domnul
that,
Trifan,
especially as
este
far as
indicat
Mr. Trifan is
un
concerned,
salariu
the salary there
mic.
is
din discuții
small.
cu dumnealui,
But out
el
of
mi-a
discussions
explicat
with him,
că salariul dat
he
era
told me that
minimum,
that salary was the
salariul
minimum
care se indica în
salary
contractele
that used to
de
be
muncă.
indicated in
Însă
employment
el primea,
contracts.
cum a dat și explicații
However,
dumnealui, el
as he
primea
himself explained,
mult mai mult,
he was
practic,
receiving a
dublu
much bigger
decât
amount,
era indicat
practically
în,
twice the amount
în
that
contractele-
was
în
stipulated,
contractul,
specified
respectiv.
in that
De asemenea
contract.
și soția sa.
Same is
El a activat
true for his wife. He
conducător de
has
camion din
been
2002
a truck
la o
driver
firmă.
since 2002,
Contractul
working for a
dat care l-am
company.
prezentat
The
eu și care
contract
mi l-a
that I
prezentat
have
el din
shown you, that he showed me
2012,
since 2012,
era cu o altă firmă
that was
deja
now with a different
încheiat.
company, entered into with a different
De
company.
asemenea, acum am
And,
prezent sau sunt pentru a fi prezentate comisiei
I have
certificate de
prepared
salarizare a
some
soției sale.
salary records
Totodată,
of his wife's that
vreau
I
să
can
trag
share with the
atenția
commission, and I would
onoratului
also
complet
like
că
to
în
draw the
în
attention of the
rundele de
honorable
întrebări
panel that
care
during the rounds
mi-au fost
or
adresate
as
și eu
part of
am
the rounds of
răspuns, am
questions
prezentat
to me,
informația,
I have answered
iarăși
and
eu,
provided information.
poate nu corect
It
am
is-
să mă expun
maybe
asupra
I
actelor
will
care le-am
not
prezentat, dar din spusele lor este o informație fiscală,
be choosing the
așa
right
numitul
words, but this is like
așa mi-au spus
something that's called
ei,
a code, like fiscal
unde se
tax
observă
information,
că venitul
where you can
ambelor
see
soți,
that the income of both
ei mi-au
spouses,
prezentat ceea ce au
or they've
avut,
shown
la
me
moment,
what they had
pe anul
at that
2024,
time
dacă
for
eu nu mă înșel
2024,
la memoria.
if I am not
Venitul lor
mistaken,
depășește
and their
suma
income
de 45.000 de
is more than
euro.
45,000 euros
Și,
a year.
adresându-mă
And
la dumnealui,
having
fiind în,
talked to him about it,
relații destul
as
de
we had
prietenoase,
friendly
știți cum,
relationships,
la noi la moldoveni,
you know
că,
what we Moldovans are
cetățenii
like.
noștri,
Our citizens,
politica
our
bancară
nationals, when
și
it
a
comes to the
banului
banking
nu
policy,
prea au
to the money
credibilitate
policy, Moldovans
decât
don't really
în numerare.
trust
Ei aveau careva
that they trust
economii,
cash. So they had some
le
savings,
agonisise pentru
and they have accumulated that
eventuale
for
necesități,
some
nevoi.
needs
Și,
that might
mi-au
occur,
răspuns că
and they
mă pot
told
ajuta,
us
că
they
eu nu
can
aveam
help us out
posibilitatea
because I didn't
de,
have the
dar
possibility
reiterez că
to.
banii
However, I
dați au
have to
fost,
repeat that
împrumutați
this
pentru
money
a
was
procura
borrowed in
apartamentul
order to
Mircea cel
purchase
Bătrân.
the Mircea cel Bătrân
Deja
apartment.
având un credit, familia
And
mea
My family, since it
de prima
already
casă,
had a
chiar
credit
și
for
m-a
the
adresat
first
la
house
bancă, nu știu dacă
mortgage,
aveți un
even if I
acolo.
went to a bank, I'm not sure the
Și
bank would have
aveau,
provided me a loan.
aveau
So
cash.
they
La-
had cash
iarăși, la
available.
întrebările mele, adică ce reieșeau din
And to my
întrebările
questions,
comisiei,
based on the questions of the
i-am
commission,
întrebat și
I
în
asked
momentul
them
introducerii, ei spuneau că
about the introduction and
iarăși,
how it was
două,
introduced. And they
două
said
ori, trei ori veneau pe
they were
pe an,
coming
i-a-
twice or
i-aduceam
three
în
times per
numerar.
year, and they were bringing them in cash.
Și, dacă îmi dați voie să mai
And
continui,
if you allow me to continue,
la un moment dat,
at a certain point, indeed, according to the contract signed in a free form, myself and himself,
în orașelul Nisporeni,
in the town of
mi-a fost
Nisporeni,
acordat pe 10 ani.
it was provided to me for
După care,
10 years.
La ceva timp, la un
And
an, dacă
then
nu mă
after 1
înșală memoria,
year,
sau
if
un
I'm not
an
wrong,
și
or maybe
mai ceva timp,
more than 1
mi-a
year,
comunicat că are
he
nevoie
told me
de acel
he
credit.
needed the
Eu
loan.
am fost nevoit, că nu aveam alte surse
I was
financiare
forced,
de
because I didn't have any other
acel moment
funds
să-i
at the
întorc
time, to
creditul. Am fost
return
nevoit ca să
the loan
scot
to him. So I was
apartamentul,
forced to
procurat în vânzare.
sell
Însă
the
din motivul
purchased
că,
apartment. But given the fact
apartamentul
that
nu era
the
încă
apartment
dat în exploatare,
was,
nu aveam posibilitatea de a-l vinde. Și
was
am încercat,
I didn't have the possibility to sell the
Am
apartment.
început procedura de vânzare.
So I started the sales procedure,
Viitorul cumpărător o arvună.
and the
pe care
buyer
eu imediat
provided some advance
i-am,
payment, and I immediately
dat-o lui, că el avea
gave
nevoie
this
pentru
money
a
to him because he
procura un
needed that in order
bun
to
imobil
buy
fizic.
some real estate for his daughter.
L-am rugat
So I
prietenește
kindly
și
asked
bazându-ne pe relațiile
him,
noastre
based on
prietenoase,
our friendly relationship,
să mă mai aștepte
to
până
wait
când urmează să vând
until
apartamentul
I
ca să pot
sell the
întoarce împrumutul
apartment to be
respectiv.
able to totally return that loan he provided to me.
Dar
Did you buy this apartment as a form of investment? As far as I understand, you never lived there. No, I haven't lived there. And using the opportunity provided to me in order to improve the living conditions of my family, I have 2 children who are students in Chișinău. And at that time, I was thinking about transferring to Chișinău, coming to Chișinău, because at that time Moldova wasn't providing transportation means, and now, thanks God, we have this possibility to compensate for transportation or rental. So it was hard for me to travel 50 kilometers from Ungheni. So I was thinking buying such an apartment would be an opportunity. You mentioned you prepared bank excerpts and records, financial records confirming the capacity of the spouses to provide a loan to you. And you mentioned for 2024 they proved 45,000 euro. The question is for 2021 or 2020 maybe. Did you prepare any records proving their capacity to provide borrowing to you, a loan to you in 2021? Do you have any such records? Now I only have the salary certificates, salary records of the wife, which indicates her salary in 2018, 2021, 22, and 24. I don't have any other financial records. I'd like to add that I asked them, I insisted on that, and they said they only have bank accounts. They don't have any other bank accounts other than the salary account, so they haven't presented any such records. Coming back to the fiscal information, the so-called CUD, where you can see, so that document shows that they have been working since 2002 and 2012 according to the labor agreements. But could you say, do you know the Trifan family, do they have immovable property in Italy or somewhere outside Moldova? Currently, I don't have such information. I guess they might have some dwelling place, but in Moldova, as the Commission identified an immovable property in Vărzărești held by Mr. Trifan, that's related to one of his businesses, a business of his which has been sold until now. Based on your explanations, I understood that these funds were transferred in cash, sent in cash in Moldova. Yes, so they were entered over a longer period of time. Do you have any documents confirming the withdrawal of such cash amounts? Mr. Trifan, did he present to you any records, any documents, except from the income records? No, he hasn't. Even when I asked him to do so, he told me that these were savings, as I mentioned, because this is how Moldovans are. These were savings acquired in cash and transferred to Moldova, also in cash by both spouses. And they sent them to me, transferred them to me in cash as well. If you allow me to say, when I purchased the apartment on Mircea cel Bătrân, this was done through bank transfer, bank wire. I did the transfer through bank wire. And they asked me for the source of money. And I presented the labor agreement of Mr. Trifan and the borrowing agreement between the two of us. And the notary where we did the transaction, I presented the same documents. Based on the documents presented to you, what's the total amount of the income by the spouses before they provided this loan to you? Around 46,000 euro per year until 2021. I think it's the same income. No, here, this is only for his wife, and the explanation of Mr. Trifan. What he explained in the email communication, he answered questions sent by the Commission to a wrong email. So you haven't calculated the total income of the spouses. The total income of the wife per year is around 18,000 euro. No. Do you have any bank records, bank excerpts? No. Thank you.
I
would like us to go to 2024 to discuss about Toyota Yaris vehicle, which was purchased and registered under the name of Mrs. Orsaki. At the same time, it was used constantly by your daughter. During the dialogue between you and the Commission, as I mentioned earlier, you haven't communicated to the Commission any data about the financial capacity of your in-laws to purchase such a vehicle. As a result, could you please explain who was the real beneficiary, the beneficial owner, how often Mrs. Orsaki used that vehicle, and who incurred all the expenses for maintenance and use of such a vehicle? Thank you. As I mentioned in the answers provided to the questions asked by the Commission, and based on the explanation of my mother-in-law, it stems out, and I'm responsible to say that that vehicle was purchased by my mother-in-law following a reimbursement of the loan provided by them to me. If I'm not wrong, if my memory doesn't mislead me, but immediately after I concluded the sales agreement for the apartment, I reimbursed to all the creditors, both creditors. I reimbursed the debt. And using that money, she bought that vehicle. Indeed, my daughter is using it, as the Commission knows, and as I explained, the fact that my daughter, even my son, during summertime worked in Constanța, in Romania, on the beach. And the fact that the relationship between my mother-in-law and my daughter, who is the first grandchild, upon their agreement, she provided to her the right to drive the car, so she used it to go to Romania. But she is not the main user. Yes, she's using it, but that's upon their mutual agreement. I actually draw their attention to this.
Ele au spus
They
că,
said,
mai îndeosebi
particularly
bunica, a spus
the
că
grandma
eu
said,
așa doresc,
"This is how I
eu
wish,
așa voi proceda.
this is how I will act
În legătură cu
with regards to
automobilul, da.
this vehicle."
Și toate
And
cheltuielile
all the
pentru întreținere
maintenance
au fost
expenditures
suportate
were
de
incurred
bunica,
by
soacra mea.
my mother-in-law, the grandmother of my daughter.
Judge Triboi, I believe
Domnule
we've
judecător Triboi,
concluded
cred că
our
am
questions.
finalizat întrebările noastre.
Would you like to make a brief statement before we conclude the hearing? Is there anything else you'd like to say?
În primul rând,
First of all,
vreau să vă
I would
mulțumesc
like to
dumneavoastră,
thank
completul și întregii
you, the
comisii
panel,
și
and the
a
entire
staffului
commission
comisiei
and the
pentru
staff of the commission
lucru
for
efectuat,
the work you
pentru
do,
răbdarea care
for the
ați
patience
dat dovadă
you
și
showed.
sper că am fost destul
And
de
I hope
explicit
I was
și clar în
sufficiently
vederea
explicit and
dubiilor
clear regarding the
care au apărut
doubts
pe parcursul
raised
evaluării
during
mele de
my
către
evaluation
comisie.
by the commission.
Și nu în ultimul rând,
And last
vreau
but
să
not
mulțumesc
least, I would
tuturor.
like to thank everyone.
Well, thank you for your submissions and for your answers to the Commission's questions. That brings us to the end of today's hearing. After the hearing, the panel will approve an evaluation report stating its conclusion whether the subject meets the criteria for ethical and financial integrity under Law Number 252. The panel will strive to complete its evaluation report and announce its conclusion as soon as possible. Today's hearing is now closed. Good day to everyone. O zi bună.
Da, mulțumim, o zi bună și dumneavoastră.
Thank you. Have a good day.